Look, Mega Scolipede is an absolute monster, and I feel like nobody even knows it yet. With the Season 2 of ranked matches upon us, there's one guy causing an absolute ruckus to the meta, friggin' Xerneas. But that just means it's time for me to bust out the Mega Scolipede to steal some wins, and today I'm going to explain exactly what this thing can do. So Megapede remains a bug poison type, but its mega stats are pretty wild with base 140 attack, along with great physical bulk at 149. The plan with this bad boy is pretty simple. We invest in full HP along with max attack, and then we start off by clicking the old Swords Dance. In Mega form with an SD up, Buddy becomes a problem. Stab Poison Jab absolutely melts popular fairies, mainly being the Xerneas, which is everywhere right now. And then we've got Dual Stab and X Scissor, which is also just great damage in general, but it's a solid answer to things like Mega Gyarados or even Greninja. And to round things off, we have Earthquake for all the steel types around right now that people bring as a Xerneas answer of their own. Scolipede has a pretty nice time against any strong physical attackers, which are some of the best options right now in ranked. And so today, it's finally time to get the armored boy to destroy some stuff. Scolipede really feels like a long-lost buddy of mine that I haven't been able to use in forever. Now it gets a badass Mega Evolution, and this thing is insane. I feel like nobody knows that Scolipede is out here moving this crazy. And so today we're going to see, I was honestly just looking at answers for things like Xerneas, and I was like, you know what? Scolipede might just be that dude. And people are about to find out today. So look, I lead off with a Metagross. This is kind of just a scout Metagross to come out here. I got coverage on everything. As I start against a Garchomp, I'm going to throw an Ice Punch at it, and then an Earthquake does a whole bunch of damage. So I immediately just go into Scolipede, and then I realize I'm going to go ahead and just run to the others and get the hell out of here. So here's the situation. I see a Xerneas. There's some shenanigans going on. Xerneas versus a Glaceon over on this other side. Now, from afar, I'm like, this is perfect. I'm going to pop a little Swords Dance and just watch the action, and then I can get in there and, you know, hopefully cause a little bit of a ruckus. So unfortunately, the Glaceon does go down, but I'm able to grab the nice little Poison Jab knockout on the Xerneas. And that's immediately our first kill using the Scolipede against the Xerneas, which is sick. Now, I also run into a Flabébé, and I honestly didn't even know that that thing was around. It's so small, but I get a knockout for free, so that's fine. Now, I also am then just targeted by a freaking Salamence, so I switch into the Delphox here on the Hurricane, and that's fine. Scolipede does not enjoy that. I also do not have my Mega Charge yet, so I'm kind of trying to play it safe here with the Scolipede. But then I'm like, you know what? Might as well just Solar Beam the Greninja as it wasn't paying attention, and that works out perfectly. Delphox is able to come in clutch. Now I go back into Scolipede because I do see the Gardevoir over here, and as I get a Swords Dance up, I almost get the Poison Jab, but I do miss. Bad thing about Poison Jab is that you really do need to be super up close. But now I just decide to go for an Earthquake because I see the Excadrill running around all crazy, and I say, not today. Not if my massive horse-sized Scolipede has anything to say about it. So I do see the Xerneas chasing me down, so I do get it with a Poison Jab there, but without Mega, it's not going to be enough to kill. And check this shit out. Emboar goes for the Flare Blitz. I'm able to get that Mega off in time to avoid the Flare Blitz, which is clutch as hell. Using your Mega to be basically invincible and put them on cooldown on a move like Flare Blitz is clutch, but sadly I just get picked off by something and I do go down there. So it's fine. I do still have almost my Mega Charge at this point, and Scolipede is about to take some names here. So I go for the Swords Dance, pair that with the fact that I can now Mega, but then I'm like, I'm just going to go throw an Earthquake at this Excadrill. I prioritize going for the attack rather than getting the Mega off, and then I'm also able to just pop the Salamence with an X Scissor, and that is enough to kill. And if the regular Scolipede with a Swords Dance wasn't scary enough, now I can go for the Mega, chase down this Xerneas. While they do get the power boost, they just avoid my Poison Jab as well. And unfortunately, as they go into the Emboar, I'm like, this is still fine. I'm going to go for an Earthquake here. They do get the Mega off, which is annoying. I was about to take some names with the Pede right there, but I do have to switch. I go into the Delphox just so I can try to get a Psychic off on the Emboar. I accidentally targeted the Garchomp there with a Heat Wave, so I walk out of that situation with nothing, but the Xerneas is back out. So guess what, buddy? Your worst nightmare is about to take place. I can go back into the Mega Scolipede and check this out. Just chase his ass down, looking menacing as hell. Absolute nightmare fuel. I do get a Poison Jab off on both opponents. Now, sadly, the Earthquake isn't enough to double up on the Glaceon, but then as they swap into a Gardevoir, yeah, a Poison Jab's definitely going to do that. And as I'm hanging on barely, I'm able to then turn around, pop the Xerneas with a Poison Jab. While they do knock me out as well in the process, I still get the knockout, and I'm chilling at 8 kills here. And as the ticker's coming down, we are going to take the #1 spot with the Scolipede. Basically, only really used the Scolipede. Delphox did get one knockout there. But you got to respect the Pede. The thing's coming out here putting in the finest of work. If you get a Swords Dance and a Mega up, people are going to have a bad time. And honestly, this thing is really fun to use. So with that, we take the #1 spot. But it's time to jump into some more matches because honestly, Scolipede is fun. It feels like an anti-meta pick right now that nobody's ready for. And let's go ahead and just get ourselves into another one. Look, the fact of the matter is, I find myself being a bug type enjoyer. And, you know, this thing, Mega Scolipede may just be able to beat the mid allegations out here. It's not often that a bug type gets itself in a spot in the meta where it actually can be good. So, you know, we're definitely taking advantage of that. Anyway, in this matchup, we've got ourselves in this stupid circle map where everything is chaotic. And as I lead off with the Gyarados, two other guys lead off with Gyarados. And I'm like, you know, that's kind of fine. It doesn't bode well for Scolipede in the back just because I don't really have much to hit it with. But Gyarados' lead here is essentially just to come out, scout some stuff, throw some damage out, and try to get some Mega Charge. Now, as I do see a couple of Steel types and a Delphox over there, I run in trying to Earthquake, but I get caught in some Crossfire, and down goes my Gyarados. I take the first death. However, the bad news for my opponents is that now I have full Mega Charge. As I immediately go Scolipede, I also get up a Swords Dance, and it is about to go down, at least hopefully. So I noticed this Metagross is running over here like a damn crazy spider hanging on by an inch of its life. So I throw an Earthquake into the corner, and that's going to knock it out. And then the 1-2 punch combination of the X-Scissor is able to finish off the Gyarados that was on low health. So that's a nice little double kill. And I'm immediately just going to get out of there because Scolipede is nearly dead. And as I go into Gyarados, it's actually perfect. I end up facing off against the Delphox. And as I get the Waterfall off, this other Gyarados thinks he's all cool and red, comes and steals my kill with a bounce. So, you know, that is rude. Now, as I end up grabbing the heal here, that's fantastic. Those heal items, basically all the glowing things are fantastic, but now Scolipede in the back is looking real healthy. And as I go Delphox trying to pick off something if anybody wants to go into a Steel type, I figure, you know what, I'm just going to go back into Mega Scolipede. If I can Earthquake this Diancie, that would be real nice. But the Diancie matchup is honestly still scary for Scolipede, but then I'm like, pivot into now going for the X-Scissor against the Gyarados. Mega Gyarados now being Dark type, weak to the X-Scissor, is able to get a satisfying kill, but sadly, as I'm running away, there is a Mega Delphox just brooming around the place, and it's gonna pick me off with a Heat Wave. Heat Wave is unfortunate that it can lock onto you from so far away. So I just go into Gyarados out of safety. I don't have Mega Charge yet. I'm just gonna go ahead and see what I can do against this against this damn Excadrill, who's just having a nice little stroll in the park. Buddy's just going in a big old circle. As I go for the Waterfall, it switches right in time. So I'm like, you know what? I don't even know which Gyarados is mine. I swapped to the Scolipede out of the safety of being able to now just basically teleport to the other side. And I Swords Dance from afar as there's just crazy action going on in this corner. The best thing you can do is get out of it and then just try to pick things off. I go for the X-Scissor. I do get the Mega Gyarados. And now as I go for my own Mega, I've got this Diancie low. I throw a Poison Jab at it. I'm able to get the knockout. Sadly, the Diancie does get the kill on the Gyarados, but we will absolutely take that. And so now, after some knockouts, it's kind of scary. You just never know what people are going to bring in. I'm fearing that Delphox is going to come in and pop me. I just missed my X-Scissor on this Mega Gyara. Unfortunately, that would have been enough for a knockout. But now as I'm just in the crossfire of a freaking Heat Wave, I do go down. But as the match is kind of coming to a close end here, we're tied at the #1 spot with 5 knockouts. I need to see with this last 20 seconds if I can get another kill to take that top spot. Sadly, Mr. Delphox does get up to 6, but as I go for an Earthquake, I'm able to knock out the Delphox. That ties us with 6. And as I'm being chased down by this Gyarados, I got to get my ass out of there. So I just decided to bring in my own Gyara out of safety and just basically try to not die at this point. If I can take that tie for that top spot, we will absolutely take it. That is going to be the end of that one. We do tie for the 6 kills on that. And honestly, a really cool showcase game where Mega Delphox was going crazy. But Mega Scolipede, honestly, even in a game where there was no Xerneas, Scolipede is still pretty damn useful. Even just having X-Scissor stab against a Mega Gyarados is still pretty damn good value and just stray Earthquake. So even no Xerneas, Scolipede stonks at an all-time high. And that's not going to bring us into another match. I'm having fun with these. It's honestly a nice change of pace in terms of content. And it's just something new that I think is really cool. Plus, there's some really fun nuances. And while it is chaotic, I think the team building aspect and just general strategy in this is still pretty fun. So I'll lead off with the Gyarados, see what the hell is happening. I'm going to try to pop a Waterfall immediately on this Tyranitar, but he has different ideas as they end up swapping into the Ampharos. It turns out to be nice for me. I can then go for an Earthquake, get the knockout on the Ampharos, and that guy just got completely bullied by my Gyarados, which is nice because that's a free little knockout. I can immediately now switch into the Scolipede because I'm like, dude, I'm just going to see. I believe in the Pede. I'm going to throw a Swords Dance out and just see what I can get going. Now, sadly, as a Charizard comes around, my big fat ass is definitely running to the other side of the map. And it works out because as I go for an Earthquake here, I get the Ampharos and the Metagross. While I don't get the knockout, I'm able to 1-2 punch the meta then with an X-Scissor, which is sick as hell. And I swap into the Delphox because I feel like that Charizard is chasing my ass down like a fat kid at a buffet. So I get out of there. But then the Charizard goes away, so I'm like, perfect. Back to the Scolipede. I now have full Mega Form. I'm going to pop a Swords Dance first, and also this Excadrill wants the smoke. They go for an Earthquake, gets a critical hit, knocks me down to 1, and unfortunately, they're able to then pick me off. The critical hits in this are crazy. I'm like, how did that Earthquake just knock me to 1? That was diabolical. I take the L on that one, but it's fine. I've still got Mega Charge. I'm just going right back into the Scolipede, and the plan is simple. Swords Dance from afar, go for the Mega, and see what I can do. Now, with the Mega and the Swords Dance, this Ampharos definitely goes down to an Earthquake. I'm able to steal the kill there, and not only that, but then Gyarados comes out, and I'm like, hell yeah, X-Scissor. Nope, they switched out in time, so... Now, as everybody's bunched up to this corner, I do not have my Earthquake off of cooldown. So, unfortunately, I cannot Earthquake. Would have been super clutch in that moment there with the Metagross and the Excadrill around. Unfortunately, I was just a few seconds too late, and they do get to pick me off there. But I'm chilling at 3 kills. We're tied for the first spot here. I'm going right back into the Pede. And while I don't have Mega, I'm just going to throw an Earthquake into the middle here. I do get the knockout on the Tyranitar, which is sick. I try to double up the Excadrill with an X-Scissor. Excadrill's kind of a tough matchup here. I thought it might be close to get a knockout. Unfortunately, they're able to finish me off first. But it's fine. As I now respawn, I'm almost in range for my Mega to be fully charged. The best part is I can target this Tyranitar with a Swords Dance. That puts me into Mega range. Not only that, but also as I have the Swords Dance, I can go for that Mega. And now shit's about to die. I'm going to go ahead and run into here. I get the X's off on the Tyranitar, steal the kill there. But now as I'm in a 1v1 versus a regular Gyarados, much less ideal than if it's Mega. But as I go for the Poison Jab, I almost get the knockout there. And then as I'm trying to target it with the X-Scissor, they do swap just in time to save that thing's life. However, I'm in the top spot with 6 kills. I need to be safe. The Charizard is back out. But there's also a Metagross. So I'm going to go ahead and Earthquake that. I do end up getting the kill on the Garchomp, which is a nice little steal there. And the Charizard comes and cleans us up, unfortunately. Buddy with the Charizard is making this a really close, scary game because we both have 7 kills. I can't go Scolipede because they're for sure going to pick that off, and that'll be the tiebreaker for him. So I instead go Gyarados, and the plan is simple. I can go ahead and Ice Fang this Garchomp, but they Mega just in time to be invincible through my Ice Fang. And as the time is clicking down with 5 seconds left, I'm throwing random damage out to see if I can get one more kill, and check this out. The bounce comes in and gets the kill with less than a second left. We gotta look at that in a slow-mo replay. Hold on. We're literally all clumped in the middle. As I go for my bounce, I come down at the last second to knock out the Garchomp, which does put me at 8 kills. And I'm not gonna lie, at the moment, I thought that was gonna put me at the sole #1 spot. Turns out, we tie for the #1 with the 8 knockouts, which is honestly crazy to even get games close to 10 kills. And that was just a wild ending to just save me to get that tie for #1 spot. So that was a fun game. That was an interesting one. Now, as we get into the next match here, I think this is a really cool one. Now, it's also because this is probably my favorite map. This one feels a whole lot more open, less chaotic, and you can really kind of tell exactly what's happening here. And this is kind of a fun lead. So, I lead off with the Gyarados once again. We're checking things out. I immediately see a Garchomp to my left. Bad news is freaking Ampharos to my right. So I got to be careful of that thing. Now, I'm immediately going to go ahead and throw an Ice Fang at this Garchomp. I do get some damage there. But sadly, as the Ampharos is coming to me, I'm Assault Vest Gyarados. I'm able to live a Thunderbolt, which is clutch. So I obviously have to switch. They're going to try to get that knockout. And as I go Scolipede, I know I have a decent matchup here. I get off the Swords Dance. And even though they go for a Reflect, I get off the Earthquake, pair that with a Poison Jab, and then an X-Scissor. I use all 3 of my moves to get that knockout on the Ampharos, and that's clutch as hell, because now the Scolipede is rolling. We do not have Mega, but still, I have a matchup on like everything. And as I Earthquake here, I do get the Metagross and the Gallade, and as I Poison Jab, the Metagross steals my kill on the Gallade there, which is, you know, wildly unfortunate. I'm also hanging on in red health here, so I'm in danger of being picked off by anything. But then as I notice freaking Xerneas coming out here, I'm absolutely going to throw a Poison Jab at it. Unfortunately, as I'm not Mega or Swords Dance at that point, I do get taken out. But as I'm chilling with 1 kill, the game is settling in, and I can kind of see what people are working with. I'm going to go right back into Scolipede because it feels honestly like a good safe option for me at this point. So as I go for the Swords Dance, that puts me in range to Mega, which is clutch as hell. I get my armor on. We're looking scary. And as I click Earthquake on the Metagross here, it does have a Reflect Up, so it lives, but I pair that with an X-Scissor and I get the knockout. Now, as I run away from this Gyarados, it tries to Stone Edge me. And now I'm just being targeted by the Chomp and the Gyarados, and I'm frightened. And as the Gyarados does Mega, though, I'm like, hold on. I could be fine to get an X-Scissor off, but I have to switch. I'm just in danger and nearly dead. So I go into my own Gyarados to try to just Ice Fang the Garchomp. Sadly, I catch a Stray, and I go down. So a little bit of a breather at this point. I feel like that was a crazy sequence. As I respawn, I'm like right back in the action. So I just go right back into Scolipede. I can Swords Dance from a nice little distance. I also am in range to Mega once again, and Xerneas is back. So now I'm fully in form to throw a nice little Poison Jab here. It does not get the knockout, but I get some big damage. Pair that with an X-Scissor. It's going to be able to knock it out. And as I was running away, as unfortunately the freaking Mega Gallade gets me, just by the damn skin of my buggy teeth. It's gonna get the knockout there. So matches in this map do feel lower scoring just because of the fact that we're more spread out. But I'm chilling with 3 kills here. I go right back into the Pede, and as I go for the Mega here to try to avoid damage, it works out perfectly. I can then throw out a nice little Earthquake here. Sadly, somebody steals the Metagross knockout, but then as I throw an X-Scissor out, I just grab myself a kill. So I get the Gyarados knockout, which is not what I was looking for, but we will absolutely take it. I am forced to switch, however, because this Mega Garchomp is insanely scary, but here's the fun part. Check this out. I ran right into a red damage boost, which now Gyarados with the damage boost gets the kill on the Garchomp, and then a Waterfall just straight up knocks out a Frail Gallade with that damage boost, and that immediately puts me up into range where I'm at 6 kills. I'm in the sole #1 spot. As I try to Earthquake the Metagross there, I almost got another knockout, but this asshole Mega just in time to be invincible. As I try to go Delphox to pick the Metagross off with the Heat Wave at the last second, unfortunately the timer does go. And as I almost had that last little knockout there, we're still going to take the #1 spot just because of the fact that Gyarados at the end there with that damage boost, just with those 2 quick knockouts, come in to give us that #1 spot. So we will definitely take it. 6 kills on that map is honestly kind of hard. But that's not going to bring us into one more match because, you know, why not just throw one more out here? We're having fun. And look, if you're still around watching the video, I really do appreciate you. Make sure to hit that like button if you haven't already. And let's go ahead and get into the action. Okay, so we're back to stupid Pokeball circle map. It feels like this is the most common one for some reason, but we're also back to the old Metagross lead just to switch things up a bit. Now, I immediately notice a Frostlass, which is cool. Also a Go-Goat. People are working with some wacky stuff out here, and I like it. Now, as the Frostlass does go for a Reflect, I try to just steal a kill with a Bullet Punch, but then this other Metagross is out here just trying to poach my business, and then the Frostlass switches to a Garchomp. So I'm like, if I can get an Ice Punch here, that would be nice. Unfortunately, the Garchomp gets the last laugh because it gets the Earthquake off, does knock me out. Unfortunate, but it's fine. I get a little bit of a reset here. I can kind of see what people are doing, and as I've almost got Mega Charge, I just go right into Scolipede. I'm going to Swords Dance on this Gyarados, which is kind of not really the fight I want to pick, but as I end up getting my Mega Charge just in time to hopefully avoid a bounce, that defense boost that comes with the Mega is honestly clutch as hell too. So I try to Poison Jab it, I end up missing as they switch, but then I notice that this Xerneas is just over here throwing stray Focus Blasts out. So I'm going to Swords Dance at it. If they leave this Xerneas in, I'm going to be able to get some big old damage here. I do get the knockout with the Poison Jab. I also get just Ice Beamed from the freaking behind. Frostlass is over here just being a menace. And as I switch into the Metagross, as I have the great matchup here, a combination of a Heavy Slam and a Bullet Punch does get me the kill there. So I really like Metagross on this team too. It's just another answer for Xerneas, and this guy really seems adamant about having his Xerneas out. So while I cannot directly go into Scolipede here, I try to grab a stray kill there with the Delphox. Scolipede was just really low, so as I end up going down, I feel like that's kind of fine. It does just give me a second to reset, and I'm obviously just going to go right back to Scolipede. As I don't quite have my Mega Charge, the Swords Dance is going to put me in range for that, and I'm honestly just going to target down this Diancie. I get the Earthquake off, kill the Mega Diancie, which is sick. And now I get my Mega off, so it's time for a Rampage, especially because I see this Xerneas still chilling out here. So I'm going to Poison Jab the hell out of this guy into next Tuesday. Unfortunately, they make a really nice play and switch into the Excadrill, which avoids my Poison Jab, but I get the Earthquake off and get the knockout anyway. So while we'll absolutely take it, Scolipede's nearly dead. So I'm forced to switch into Metagross here, and that's sweet because the Metagross with its double punches, I can Thunder Punch the Gyarados there. I also have the option to Ice Punch the Garchomp over there, but honestly, it's a scary fight. And I'm like, instead, I'm just going to try to Heavy Slam this freaking Xerneas, who always clicks Geomancy. Now, as I get the Heavy Slam off, the thing's bulky as hell. It does not end up going down. It does take care of me. It didn't help that that Garchomp also got an Earthquake off. So, you know, while I am chilling at 5 kills here, the match is down to 40 seconds left. And I'm going to go immediately back into the Pede, baby. We're going to go for that Mega because we're out here to Poison Jab some shit and have ourselves a nice time doing it. Now, unfortunately, that Gyarados does take care of the Xerneas before I get to it. But as I get off my Poison Jab, pair that with an X-Scissor, gonna knock out the Gary. And we love to see it. So I can also grab the heal. Turns out to be just too late because now I get Ice Beamed. But then I'm like, you know what? I feel like I might be able to just win this 1v1. I go ahead and Swords Dance, but then they swap into stupid... Everybody's switching into their Steel types on my Poison Jabs. Really busting my little Scolipede balls there. So, you know, they do end up taking me out because I was in the middle. I was in the firing range, I will admit. Got a little crazy, just trying to steal a kill there at the end. But as the timer goes down, we're sitting at 6 kills. And I try to get an Earthquake off on this Excadrill, but the timer saved Buddy's life. Honestly, still actually kind of scary because that thing was Mega, and Mega Excadrill is a threat. But Scolipede, bigger threat, baby. We're out here taking names with the Pede today. Honestly, never thought that Mega Scolipede was going to be a thing. It's a menace. It's really fun to use. If you get a Swords Dance up, you're just going to have a good time. And while the season 2 meta is honestly crazy with all the shit that's going on in it, especially Xerneas, it's really cool that Scolipede has found itself a nice little home. So also shout out to the developers for actually giving us good stuff for winning matches. Look at heavy ball, some nuggets, rare candy. You also get bottle caps now. Thank God. But look, that's going to do it for the video. Thank you guys very much for watching. I had a lot of fun with it. Hopefully you did as well. And I will catch you next time. Peace out.